Aside from people paying attention both in Mexico and the US, particularly Texas, where else should people be paying attention now? Those who live on these islands, and as we know, as you mentioned, it is July 1st, it is vacation season. So who needs to keep their eye out?
Yeah, it's vacation season. It's cruise season. I had a friend of mine in one of the islands reach out to me because he heard about the hurricane. Now, luckily, they were on an island a bit further north, but I bet they're still getting some stormy conditions even today. I think they were there over the weekend. If you're anywhere in sort of an island nation in the Windward Island, you're probably dealing with the storm right now. As the storm moves further into the Western Caribbean, Jamaica, I'm particularly concerned about because the storm looks to be heading right to Jamaica or just to its south. And so, either way, they're going to experience impacts, even parts of the southern parts of perhaps even the Dominican Republic or Haiti and parts of Cuba. Those places will feel the impacts. But I'm really concerned about Jamaica, Grand Cayman, the Cayman Islands. Those places will perhaps feel the impacts as well. And then people that may be vacationing in Cozumel or Cancun, they'll likely have some impacts from this storm as well. And then again, once it gets back in the Gulf of Mexico, we'll have to know. I think within the next couple of days, Brittany, we'll have a better idea of what's at stake for the U.S. or northern Mexico. Typically, beyond about 5 days, the model there's a little bit more uncertainty in the track forecast. But within 5 days into 4, 3, 2, and 1, we're pretty certain about where it's going.
As you mentioned earlier, it is July 1st. So we're still in the beginning of the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season, and it is unprecedented to see a storm of this caliber. So does this indicate anything for what you're expecting the rest of the season?
I can't say that one particular storm tells me anything about storms of the future, but again, we have projected this to be a very active hurricane season. My colleagues at Colorado State University, NOAA, and others that do hurricane projections for the season have all been consistent that this is going to be an active hurricane season. And it's for the reasons I mentioned: extremely warm sea surface temperatures, uh, favorable upper atmospheric wind shear patterns likely due to La Nina. And there's something else which is a little bit geeky as well, but I'll share it because I'm a weather geek. And by the way, I host that podcast with the Weather Channel. But one of the things that we also look for is the activity of the African monsoon. And the monsoon's very active. We expect it to be active, and that will start to spit out these sort of systems that ultimately are born into tropical systems. And so we keep an eye on that as well. So uh, and I have to bring this to bear. The extreme water temperatures are consistent with what we have seen as our climate continues to warm. I mean, that's just one of the places where we always see the signature of warming. I want to say one other thing, Brittany, before I lose my thought on it. Hurricane Beryl did something that we're seeing more frequently, well, and it's alarming. When it first intensified to a major hurricane, it gained 65 knots of wind speed in 36 hours. Now, our definition for rapid intensification of hurricanes is 30 knots of wind speed in a 24-hour period. So in other words, it gets stronger by about 35 miles per hour over a 1 day period. Uh, I just said Beryl did 65 knots or so on the order of 60, 70, whatever miles per hour in 36 hours. So this thing got strong really fast. That's
And
the
why is
message
that?
there. Because it's got so much warm water and it's got a really favorable upper atmospheric conditions, low wind shear, so that thing can just really explode. And that's what we're seeing. Brittany, we're seeing more of these rapidly intensifying hurricanes. Let me tell you why that's dangerous. It's dangerous because as a storm is approaching one of the islands, or if it gets close to making landfall, people may go to sleep thinking they're dealing with a category 1 or 2 storm, and they wake up, boom, you got a category 4 storm. So there's the rapid intensification is an increasingly concerning problem that we see.